everyone. Good morning. This is Jason Schwartz. I'm your host here at MauiNeutralZone.com, the Neutral Zone. We have a terrific guest today, someone that I've known for decades. That's amazing to say. Actually, more than 30 years now. Oh, my God. This is Chris Mentzel. Chris, welcome to our show.
Jason, fabulous talking to you. Yes, we're friends for 30 years. We met on a whaleboat, and
Isn't that
I
funny?
still remember that.
The Business and Environment Annual Conference, Beacon, put on by Maui Inc. magazine, which is now way in the past, and they had an environmental conference that was really a very committed group early on in the cycle, where if we were taking the road of Maui, you can go left or right. We could have gone right. We talked about it, and we even had the opportunity over this next couple of years. We had access. Remember Tom Gizzerni, who was president of Maui Electric Company, right? How many times did we talk about alternative plans way back when we could have been way ahead of the world? And I remember you made up this huge plan on how to put solar on the island then. Give us some of your background. I mean, maybe you want to walk us through some of that stuff.
Yeah, since you're mentioning Tom Gizzerni, so in that conference, I was pretty new on Maui, like a few months. I wondered, why is there no solar on Maui, and why are not all the roofs covered in solar cells? So I sat down at night during the conference and made a complete plan. So how much solar panels would it take? How do you store it? And came up with water storage, where we would put a big hole into the top of Haleakala, fill it with water, run the water down the side of the mountain through turbines, and this would create electric energy during the night. And in the daytime, the solar energy would pump the water back up, and by cycling the water up and down, we would in effect have a battery. I made a paper out of that. It wasn't huge. It was a page or 2 or 3 pages. And a few days later, Miko called me, and Tom Gizzerni, the president, said, "Why don't you come over and talk to me?" So fabulous, very, very nice. That was the beginning, actually, of having a really, collegial, a really nice relationship with Maui Electric. And he looked at the plan and said, "God, this looks, really doable, really good. But who has the money for it?" And at that time, I think I calculated $700 million. Might not be quite up to the amount of people, the amount of electricity usage we have today. But $700 million sounded like a gargantuan amount of money then. But we would have gotten that money back within 10 to 12 years. So if we would have built that, we would nowadays have electricity for free. The solar panels would still operate, the pumps would still operate, the water would still flow down and give us nighttime energy. It was not in anybody's mind to deal with such sums of money back then, but by now it would be definitely paid off.
Well, here we are 3 decades later. Isn't that extraordinary to say? 3 decades later, and now all the things we were talking about that seem like far-off dreams that were so expensive now seem like elementary, my dear Watson. It's so primitive in the idea of what we now have learned, how right we were. Speaking of that, let me just say, when you first came here, you were successful. You came here from what? From Germany, and you had sold the business and came here and were a successful entrepreneur already. And now we're gonna do something on Maui. We were very fortunate to get you here, and that was a great plan. Had I known about it, and we would have figured out how to promote it. Maybe it's still a good plan here. There are probably other plans you've got in mind since then. Have you seen other workable plans that or could that one even work now?
Well, little bit to the history. In 1985, I started a company to provide software solutions for CD-ROM on the same day that CD-ROM was introduced to the marketplace. Built up that company, did many of the initial CD-ROM projects in Germany. And my biggest customer came to me one day and said, we would like to invest in your company. And I sold them the entire company, worked there for another year, and then said, what's the best place in the world? And yeah, pretty quickly I figured out that Maui was it. And I arrived, and just then actually Maui was very interested in creating a high-tech sector. And that, yeah, the opening of the center,
research and development park in Kihei, that part?
Yeah. And yeah, the opening of the first building in that center was, I think, just in the first year that I was here. So
Mike Boughton, and it's interesting. We look at names that now are such important parts of our history here in the Mike Boughton and the Research and Development Park, and those were the days when they said Alexander and Baldwin, there was actually a Baldwin here. Remember Peter Baldwin and the dairy and things were manageable. Even it was, we still could have wrapped our arms around it and solved these problems. You think we still can do it now? I bet you do.
Absolutely. I've recently dusted up the plan and redone it with the new data of how much more electricity we're using, how much more people we are, with decent raise in capital. So I figured out it's about $2 billion now to make Maui energy independent. And again, that amount will be covered, will be paid back in 10 years. And after that, the system, still based on the same theories as back then, would pay for itself and create free energy for us for another 100 years. And meanwhile, of course.
What about Maui?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, of course,
we have wind power and we have solar power. We're about at 42% of our energy coming from the two, which nobody would have believed in earlier years. We thought maybe 5% of variable power on a grid is doable. Now, Maui is probably leading the world at 42%. And similar to Germany, Germany is also around 38% of energy is produced by solar, except that Germany is distributing it to other countries in the neighborhood, so they don't have that big task of having batteries that we have.
So I see.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't have much storage, they just deliver it. They don't keep it at night.
Yeah. There's little storage inside Germany. There's a lot of storage in Norway, in the fjords. And basically all of Europe is connected in a big grid. So if there's suddenly bright sunshine in Germany and lots of wind, Germany can just open and sell it on the market to the other countries.
What kind of storage do they use these days? What are some of the big storage things? Do they have flywheel batteries? Not yet.
Well, everybody's talking about batteries, so that's like the foremost thing in people's minds. But if you look at the data, currently I think 94% of all storage is still pumped water, pumping water up the hill, running it down through generators, just like I was recommending it back in 30 years ago already.
Well, it's important as we're talking that our audience high out there, they all know that what you're talking about is totally doable. We could totally do this. So anyone that tells you we can't, we can. And we have been able to for 30 years. It's only easier now. How crazy is that?
Yeah, and people are really for it, I have to say. Yeah, I presented the plan to the mayor, to Miko, to HECO, HEI, all the way up. Yeah, everybody likes the plan. It's even easier to find the money nowadays, because everything has really opened up for that kind of investment. The thing we're struggling with is you really need somebody to underwrite the loan. So if we get a $2 billion loan from a big bank, who would underwrite that? And the electric company.
Is it possible that?
Yeah, the electric company.
I was going to say,
small.
Do they have enough money to be the underwriters? They do.
Yeah, the electric company is too small. I had
hoped
that when the Florida company was coming and they were trying to buy our electric company, that they could do it, but they didn't. It wasn't really in their plans in the future to invest that kind of money.
What about the value of Maui's land? Is there billions of dollars in value where, Maui Land and Pine or whoever it is now, Mahi, Pono, all the rest of these, maybe their values altogether, could they come up with those kind of numbers?
I kind of doubt it. I mean, what was A and B's sales value? There was a few $100 million, right? To sell the.
So you need $2 billion. Does it need all that money up front? When do you need the $2 billion?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's pretty much all up front. If it was possible to build this step by step, that would be a different thing. But because you need the storage, and the way I've designed it with pumping water up and down, you really want to build it all at once. Now, what's changing is that batteries are progressing. So in the future, we might be able to build it piece by piece. And that's kind of the plan that Miko is following now. Is building piece by piece more solar and getting it together with batteries.
What about the possibility of, well, I'm sure it's so, decentralizing, where there are many systems out there, you could actually have it in a home or groups of homes and pull more and more people off the grid to where suddenly gets to be more manageable because a lot of people are getting off the grid and being independent. Yeah. I've seen a lot of systems. That's what all I'm thinking about. That idea about decentralizing makes less stress or less demand on the central system that's left. We'll see. But we're up to 42% of renewables here, are we? In generation. That's extraordinary.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's very good. I remember there used to be, right? No, we can't take any more. Now they don't say that, do they? Or do they?
Well, if you want to go on the grid, you have to bring your battery, and you have to deliver it, yeah, through the battery at a time that fits Miko. And it's actually very simple, yeah. When the sun is up, yeah, around 1 o'clock, we have the maximum solar input. We don't use that much energy. We use energy at 7 o'clock at night. So if you can bring the energy, the transmission, yeah, the creation of energy from 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock with batteries, you can solve that problem.
So guys like Tesla, there's another battery company. Some guy came out here, another comparable battery company. So there are solutions that are, if they're not here, they sure seem like they're here or right close at hand to encourage people to decentralize and get their own power. Maybe some of those financing deals banks would handle.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what's happening now. We see that Miko puts out requests, requests for projects, and piece by piece projects come in, and they always contain a battery backup, and they're in different parts of the island. Now you still want to have the grid because it's rarely, but yeah, often enough we have days without sunshine, yeah, with clouds,
Good.
and without wind, and then you want the central generation to kick in. So you still want to have the grid.
I remember looking at the numbers and realizing it was always a reserve charge that you always support that central system to be sure it's there, whether we need it or not. That's a good thing. But I keep thinking that because they're there in the central system, that they could be the financing for all these little systems. Does the PUC have to keep approving? Is that what's going on? PUC has to approve another amount of money so they can bring it more to put it into their rate schedule to pay back?
Well, the way it's going nowadays is that the electric company, yeah, be it AGI or Miko, puts out a request for proposals, and then people come with the financing. So yeah, other companies, yeah, and sometimes as far away as Canada, they come out with the financing, with everything, and they say to Miko, hey, we can provide you for, let's say, 10 cents a kilowatt hour. We can provide you electricity for the next 20 years, and we guarantee it.
Those are those big solar farms we see? You're talking about that? Or?
Yeah, those are the big solar farms.
I see. Well, I keep wondering, as time is going on, we're getting more and more interesting things. How about you're an environmental guy. In fact, I think you're one of the people, you saw the movie The Need to Grow and then had conversation with Michael Smith. That's been a wonderful adventure, hasn't it been? About growing algae, creating fuel to run an engine, to create biochar and phytoceuticals, and payback on that was also within reasonable amount of time. That's another great project for here.
Yeah, wonderful project. It was really amazing that Michael came here and talked to all of us. I organized a movie showing, so we had, I think, 80 or 100 people there.
We were overflowing there, weren't we? It was extraordinary.
Yeah, and you were
then
a wonderful
we went before
host.
the council. And then we went before the environmental committee of the council and got a grant, but more money needed for that project. You think that if we put it out somehow by word, the word will get out there locally, or how do you think that one's going to get financed? It'd be interesting.
Yeah, that's so maybe somebody who listens to this is interested in it. So basically what Michael is doing is he's burning organic material, which would be pretty much waste from agricultural operations, and
or we were talking about invasive species like the
invasive
African
species.
tulip, so that any kind of green waste. But how can we get rid of something that's a problem?
Yeah. So he takes that into what he charmingly calls the dragon. And the dragon kind of burns it, but without oxygen. So out of this comes a little amount of CO2, a lot of charcoal, which is called biochar, which is a wonderful thing to put into the soil. And the gases, the CO2 that comes out of it is then transported into a separate building where it grows algae. Algae grows so fast that in 8 days, you have a complete field of algae in there. It's then taken out and put into digesters, big steel cylinders, and makes the best fertilizer missing another word.
In this new age, what? Phytoceuticals, isn't that a great word?
Yeah.
Phyto, Phy. I always think they siphon off different things at different temperatures that are valuable for growing and all kinds of things. Fantastic system.
Yeah.
All these years ago, remember we were talking about Maui Arts and Music, showing off all the art and music and all the environmental solutions from right here in Maui, be an example to the world. What would be a better time than right now?
Yep. And in fact, I'm building a website for Mark Sheen to showcase these things, to bring this idea forward. He calls it the Forever World's Fair. And the website is worldsfair.com. And
it's very interesting.
Yep, we have already a lot of very progressive farms on the island that take visitors and show things off. When Michael's device gets built, that will.
Well, you see, that all ties in. It's interesting that we all have separate things, like this Maui Arts and Music idea. Been here 30 years, but in all that time, all these separate groups are still operating separately. Really, it seems. It's like, how do we bring them into a central, I want to say more than a clearinghouse, a place where we all coordinated together that isn't government, a forever World's Fair that show off the world all these important technologies. Sounds like we should be working together. Probably we will be. That's what ends up happening. I'm glad you're doing that. That's terrific. I was speaking to a gentleman in India today, and we were, again, mapping out the same thing. It's like, remember the movie E.T., or was it Close Encounter of the Third Kind, where everyone is building the model of that mountain. Everyone from all over the world is having all these same ideas at the same time. The world is growing up where consciousness is, I don't know, taking the roof off all the possibilities, and that science fiction stuff is becoming science fact. We're living our early TV shows. Remember when we would see Flash Gordon with the Buster Crab years ago with these old funny models driving through space? And now with animation and everything, all our imaginations are going wild. And I don't know. I don't think there's anything impossible. If we can dream it, I guess we can build it, right?
I really want to go over to Lanai. So if somebody has a connection to Larry Ellison, they are building greenhouses that are highly roboticized. And in this age, where our farmers are getting older and older, that might be the way to do agriculture in the future. And Larry's putting a lot of money into it.
That's where Michael was when he was coming here. He was going over to see those greenhouses, which he did go to see. So
Yeah,
we did an interview with Michael Smith. So people hopefully will check out now after watching this one. They'll also check out that one. And maybe we can regenerate the enthusiasm to be able to get our money so that we can get that project here. I'd love
yeah,
that to be here.
yeah. So
Yeah,
so so now we have, yeah, apart from that, now we have the big question: what happens with Maui as we learn more
yeah.
and more that COVID is here to stay, and yeah, there's real doubts that yeah, we can have a vaccine that works, because it seems like the antibodies don't last in our bodies. So a vaccine would create antibodies for a few months and then that disappears again. So there's a possibility now that COVID will be just, yeah, a constant in our future, which means for a lot of people that they can't really go out and participate in a normal life. And yeah, as that sinks in, I think there's a very, very different possibility for Maui. And I came upon that when I realized what New Zealand was doing. So in Maui and in the US, we're trying to flatten the curve and to minimize the impact of the virus. The reason is, yeah, if we let the infection just run, yeah, the hospitals will be overcrowded and people will be dying and not have proper medical attention. If we flatten the curve, yeah, that the infections will still happen, but we drag it out over time.
Let me break in for a second. We'll come
Mhm.
back and we'll re-go. I'm going to take a quick break for station identification because they don't know. This is Chris Mentzel. I'm Jason Schwartz. We're at the Maui Neutral Zone at KAKU 88.5 FM radio. We're on Akaku Maui Television. We're on YouTube all over the world. That's what we are. So we'll be back in just a second with Chris Mentzel. We'll see you, and we're going to pick up about the COVID thing and what's going on. Hang on a second. We are back. I'm Jason Schwartz, your host of the Maui Neutral Zone, here with Chris Mentzel, and we are talking about energy and environment, but we were just talking about the COVID-19 thing and Maui. You were saying, Chris, and I think appropriately so, this thing is bigger than a bread box. It's not going to be an open and shut case that COVID-19 doesn't, the antibodies don't stay in our body, which means it could be a recurring problem. And we here in America, we're so far behind, we think we're first. We think we're so far ahead on what we know, but we don't seem to be. So you were talking about New Zealand, and please continue, or wherever you want to go.
New Zealand really had, yeah, is the country that had the world's best reaction to COVID. When they first heard about it, they said very quickly, yeah, we gotta stop this. We gotta quarantine very hard, very soon. They hardly had any cases in New Zealand at that point. They locked up, everybody was locked in, yeah, tighter than we have seen it in Maui or in the United States. They couldn't even go out on the beach or, yeah, for any joyride or anything like that. Just the very, very needed items. They were locked up for 5 weeks, and there, oh, Mike, I
Something
think
just happened here with video.
your camera just stopped. Okay, let's.
I saw that. We had a technical glitch. We'll see where it was. Do you remember where it was that you were talking? Talking about New Zealand and the fact that they closed down quickly and that they quote did it right. It seemed very very dictatorial, if you will, and close down society completely, but with a smile. Everyone seemed to be cooperating there.
Yeah.
What did you see?
So this is really driven by the Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, who is in her 30s, just had a baby, and is a very personal, very loving prime minister.
So the Prime Minister in New Zealand was their inspirational leader, and she really did I thought she was very personable when she was talking to her people, and I guess they got a high level of cooperation, huh?
She was on Facebook Live every day out of her kitchen with her baby, showing how she was doing the same that she was asking her people to do. She called it, "We're Team New Zealand. Yeah, we want to fight the virus." And they totally closed down the borders. And their strategy was different from the one that we have. We're looking to minimize the virus. New Zealand said we want to eradicate the virus. A whole different strategy. So now, since a few weeks, New Zealand has done the eradication. There's no virus inside New Zealand, and except for the quarantine stations. And that means everybody went back to their normal life. Yeah, everybody, young and old, can go out, can go shopping. The restaurants are full. People, have big rugby games again. It's 5 million people live in New Zealand, and
what can you do from where we are? What do you think is going to happen, or what could we do?
Well, and I think Maui, all the neighbor islands, but let's talk about Maui, can do the same thing. So if Maui would say, we want to go for eradication, it would mean to reorganize the quarantine. So it is centrally done. Everybody who comes in, from wherever, whoever, goes into a hotel for 14 days and is watched over. Nobody escapes. Nobody goes out in the wrong place. We can probably make it really nice. We can create a zone where people can arrive and have a Maui style quarantine. And of course, we need to achieve eradication then. So we might need to quarantine or lock up people for a while again, for a couple of weeks or so. And then Maui has the status of being COVID-free, which means everything goes back to normal life. Everybody can be everywhere. Old people, sick people, can totally enjoy their life again. And of course, for normal tourism, this doesn't work because normal tourism is an average of 6 or 8 days. But there's thousands or there's millions of people all over the United States that now cannot go out because they are old, they have certain sicknesses. And the ones with money could come to Maui and enjoy a real free lifestyle. So that's what I see as a real practical solution for Maui, that we attract people that that value safety, and they come to Maui for months at a time and go through the 14-day quarantine, which is not so much a problem if you're coming in for months. Once they're through the quarantine, they are free to be on Maui. And by bringing these people in, we create more economic action. We create more jobs. yeah, if it's older people, they might want to hire somebody to help them along. So yeah, in this way we can bring the people that lost their jobs in the hotel industry back to work. And we can see if the hotels can be reconfigured to be attractive for people that want to come for that longer time. Ideally, yeah, we have about 30,000 hotel beds. Yeah, those 30,000 hotel beds could be reserved for these people. And there's also another clientele that is tech workers, or pretty much everybody who works full-time on the computer and now works from home could also come over to Maui, move the family here, and live a really safe lifestyle while working from here for the companies on the mainland. Yeah, look at Google. Yeah, they have, what does Google have now? 80,000 people that work there. They could.
I saw it today till July of 2021. They're pushing their at-home date.
Yeah.
That's another year, folks. So that model is clearly in our future. Yeah. And of course, if we're going to build affordable housing here, we're going to have lots of jobs here. We're just going to change them into things that create sustainable living and be that example to the world. It sounds like, a world fair, like I say. That's why we call it the Maui Arts and Music Association of Art and Music with a Purpose, to educate the world about the possibilities. It sounds like we're going to raise the bar. That's what we're doing. And you've always been such an inspiration to me over the years, as someone who thinks about what can happen if we do this. What good can we do today? What good can we do tomorrow? That kind of attitude, very infectious, and it's always been real close to my heart. Besides, you're a wonderful guy, and that's the other part. It's been a pleasure knowing you all these years. And maybe these are going to be the times where all our dreams are going to start to turn the corner and really manifest. I hope so. What do you think our next steps are? What do you think we're from here? You think we're going to get someone to pick up that COVID dream? Do we have to talk to associations at the hotels and activities, or the mayor? Where do you think we need to bring that?
Yeah, I've been trying to bring that since about a month, 2 months ago. I've bring that into the discussion. It's not quite there yet because, of course, everybody hopes we go back to normal. And these new insights about that COVID might be staying with us longer are just slowly sinking in. And as they sink in, I think that model will really appear interesting for both government and hotel owners.
Well, maybe we can be the thrust of helping put that out. I hope that is part of our role. Now, believe it or not, we've been talking a while. If I said, okay, Chris, we have an audience out there of millions of people. You're a perfect audience. What is it important that you'd like to share with them?
Well, what's important these days is that we really come together. Yeah, we've seen a lot of mistrust and growing apart, and make no mistake. Yeah, a lot of that is driven by Russian robots and by sources that are not friendly to the United States and that are not friendly to us. So let's just look each other in the eye and say, we're here for each other. We wear our masks for the other one, not for ourselves. And we really want this to be a wonderful country, a wonderful island, a wonderful world. And yeah, bring that back and yeah, do away with the negativity and yeah, splitting up and being split into different factions.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? A little bit of cooperation. I mean, take down the border walls, take down the concept of separateness, and take down all those concepts that distance us from realizing that loving and giving to each other is the way. It's otherwise, what kind of world would we be in anyway? You're still doing Diksha? Are you still doing your spiritual practices and things?
I do a number of spiritual practices. Yeah, Diksha is a wonderful one. It's also known as Shaktipat, where you hold your hands on the head of another person and immediately generate a meditative state. Yeah, all the variations of meditations are wonderful. I found a new teacher over in Los Angeles that is doing wonderful work. Yeah, to bring love into our daily life, we need that. We need spiritual work. We can't be just political or just technical, just practical. We really need to bring that together and clean up ourselves through the meditation, gain the energy that we want to give out for ourselves at first.
I hope you'll come back again, Chris, on the show here with me at some point. Besides being a wonderful man, your insights are very important and valuable, not only to Maui, but the whole world, and I appreciate you a lot. Chris Mentzel, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Jason. I love you. You've been a wonderful friend all these years.
Thank you. Blessings to everyone out there. We will see you all again. Thank you for joining us. Aloha.